Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शीला प्रभुपाद की जय. इसका फंड आचार्य शीला प्रभुपाद की जय. नामाचार्य शीला हरिदास ठाकुर की. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada की जय. Hare Krishna. So welcome to this morning Bhagavatam class. Today we are reciting the verse from Canto 4, Chapter 7, the sacrifice performed by Daksha, and the text number 52. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text week 52. Tasmin Brahmani Adi Advitiye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudrau cha Bhutani Vedena Jnanupashyati Tasmin Brahmani Advitiye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudrau cha Bhutani Vedena Jnanupashyati Tasmin Brahmani Advitiye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudrau cha Bhutani Vedena Jnanupashyati. Prabhuji. Tasmin Brahmani Advitiye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudrau cha Bhutani Vedinadyo Nupashyati. Tasmin Brahmani Advitiye Kevale Brahma Rudrau cha Bhutani Vedena Jnanupashyati. Tasmin Brahmani Advitiye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudrau cha Bhutani Vedena Jnanupashyati. Mataji. Tasmin Brahmani Advitiye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudrau cha Bhutani Vedena Jnanupashyati. Tasmin Brahmani Advitiye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudrau cha Bhutani Vedena Jnanupashyati. Word to word meaning. Tasmin, him, Brahmani, the Supreme Brahman, Advitiye, without a second, Kevale, being one, Parama Atmani, the super soul, Brahma Rudra, both Brahma and Shiva, Cha and Bhutani, the living entities, Bhedena, with separation, Ajna, one who is not properly conversant, Anupashyati, thinks. Translation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Please repeat. The Lord continued, one who is not in proper knowledge thinks that demigods like Brahma and Shiva are independent, or he even thinks that the living entities are independent. Purport. The living entities, including Brahma, are not independently separated, but are counted within the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord, being the super soul in every living entity, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, is directing everyone in the activities of the material modes of nature. No one can act independently of the sanction of the Lord, and therefore indirectly no one is different from the Supreme Person, certainly not Brahma and Rudra, who are incarnations of the material nature's modes of passion and ignorance. Let's do Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Sya Jai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Opesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna. So, welcome once again. We are continuing the chapter 7 from Canto 4, and the text number today's verse is 52. Okay. So, if you briefly recollect what all had happened, so Daksha and all assembled sages completed the yajna under the guidance of Shiva and Brahma, and the Lord Vishnu appeared in the sacrifice arena, and everybody started glorifying. All the Brahma, Shiva and all other assembled sages, everybody glorified. Now Lord Vishnu started speaking in response to all the glorifications. So that is where today's verse, it was Vishnu was speaking. What he was saying, if you read the translation, the Lord continued, oh, one who is not in proper knowledge thinks that demigods like Brahma and Shiva are independent, or even thinks that the living entities are independent. So one of the important point which I would like to highlight from this verse is not in proper knowledge. That's what Prabhupada was translating, right? The person who is not in proper knowledge, what he thinks, like Lord Shiva and Brahma are independent, and even living entities are, they think that they are independent of Supreme Lord. All the demigods, living entities are independent of Supreme Lord. That is the knowledge, that is the incorrect knowledge. That's what even Prabhupada was mentioning in the purport and in the translation. Now, what is the general perception? If you see in the outside world, like when you go to book distribution, Harinam or any other, when you have a conversation with other public, outside public, what generally think? Okay, when you say you worship Krishna, what they say? Okay, you worship Krishna, but I worship Shiva, and I worship other demigod. Or say if you are worshipping Radharani and Lakshmi, I worship Ma Durga. So you have your opinion, I have my belief. There is nothing wrong. That's what people will say. So you follow your belief, I follow my belief. What is that's what people general perception. If you try to convince, because their mind is filled with their own thoughts, like they've been practicing that way from so many years or like months or years. So when you say is that okay, we have to worship Krishna, their mentality, their conditioned so that they may not be able to understand what exactly the difference. So this is the general perception. So is it okay that if people in the society with a different understanding on the very God and demigod, without not having proper knowledge about Supreme Lord Krishna and connection with the demigods, if they don't understand clearly, with their own incorrect understanding, if they say in the society, if they continue with their own way, like they will say at the end, they will say everything leads to the same destination. That's what people will say generally, outside people, right? So if that continue, is it valid? Is it okay? What is the impact of not having proper knowledge? Right? This is the important knowledge, understanding the relation between Supreme Lord and all the various demigods. If we don't have understand the proper knowledge of this, and if we treat all the Shiva is independent, Brahma is independent, Jiva is independent, Krishna is separate, so there is no separate direct dependency on Krishna, everything. So is it okay? Is it valid? What is the impact? What is the consequence of having this incorrect knowledge? If we go back to our daily morning Mangalarti schedule, what we do after Tulsi Arti, we read 10 offenses, right? We read all the 10 offenses before we finish morning program, Mangalarti program. And one of the second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal or independent of the names of Lord Vishnu. So that is one of the offenses. These are all the 10 offenses from Padma Puran. We read every day morning. Right? One of the offenses is both Lord clearly stating, if you treat that Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva as independent or equal to Krishna, that is a great offense. I think even if you see in the past time of Daksha, same thing happened. Daksha was not identifying the Shiva's position, and since he's seeing that, okay, he is worshipping Krishna, that's enough. But he's not dealing understanding the position of Shiva there, right? But so this is one of the offense. If you don't understand the knowledge, proper knowledge, and if you treat differently, it is one of the offense. So what will be the impact of offense? When we read all this, not only that, when we reading the 10 offenses, we read another verse. Bahu janma kariyadi shavana kirtana tabutana paye Krishna pade premadana. This is the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 18.16 verse. Right? What is that impact is, if one is even though you are doing constantly chanting, if you are keep on doing these offenses, what will happen? You are not able to progress in bhakti. So if you are not progressing in bhakti, what is the consequence? You will be having the repeated birth and death. You will be staying in this material world. So if you are not able to progress in the bhakti, why? Because you are committing the offense. Why you are committing the offense? You don't have the right knowledge. You don't have the proper knowledge. What is that knowledge? Distinction between the Supreme Lord, who is he, and who is Krishna, who is Brahma, who is Lord Shiva, who is living entity. That knowledge is missing. When they don't have that knowledge, that incorrect knowledge leading to offense, and offense leading to you are not able to progress in bhakti. So that is one of it's very important to have the right knowledge. And another way of seeing the same thing, offense, when the different dimension we can say. So if people will say, okay, you are worshipping Krishna, I am worshipping Shiva, I am goddess Mata, Kali, and right, like people will say, okay, all the destinations leads to the same. That's what people say. Is that true? No, but what Bhagavad Gita is saying, 9.25, Yanti Deva Vratan Deva, Pitrun Yanti Pitruvata, Bhutani Yanti Bhutejo, Yanti Mad Yajnopimam. Again, Krishna there also saying, if you worship demigod, you go to demigod, Indra Loka. If you go to ghosts, you will go to their planet. But if you worship Krishna, you will come to my abode. But the difference between these abodes, ha brahma bhona loka punaravritino arjuna mamu pechidu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyati, right? So if you worship Krishna, you go to Krishna loka, you will never come back. But if you worship again Indra or if any other demigods, you will go back to their loka. But it is temporary. Once you finish your whatever account Sukriti is there, then you will come back to Bhuloka. Again, you have to take birth. So all this is because of why it is happening? The lack of knowledge, lack of correct knowledge. So that's where the translation is saying, right? One who is not in proper knowledge thinks that the demigods like Brahma and Shiva are independent, or he even thinks that living entities are independent. So when you have this kind of knowledge, the consequences is we will not be able to progress in bhakti because of committing offenses with the incorrect knowledge. Now, how we can get this correct knowledge? It's not that generally whoever is scholarly in Sanskrit, you go and learn this Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. That is not the way. When you go and the scholarly person, and if you read, then they will only give the Sanskrit grammatical meaning, but they don't give the actual philosophy. It's not bona fide. So we have 4 bona fide sampradayas. So any of the 4 bona fide sampradayas, you approach, you take the shelter of Guru, and then Guru will give the right instruction, then you will get the right knowledge. Not buying the social status, okay, he's a big king, or he's a well-educated person. If you go and take shelter and you try to learn, you will again ending up with a repeated birth, and you will be committing the offenses, and you will be doing the same mistake, and you will be taking the repeated birth and death. So the next thing is it difficult to get this knowledge? So because in general, if you go and if you tell someone that, okay, you go, if someone is coming to the temple first time, he may be worshipping different demigods or anyone. But if when you say, okay, chant Hare Krishna, he will chant Krishna, Hare Krishna. But when you say, okay, daily worship Krishna, he may agree, he may not agree. Right? That is the situation. What Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam janma namante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma sudurlabha. It takes millions of births, repeated births. What will happen? Then you will understand that Krishna is everything. All these demigods are dependent on Krishna. That knowledge you will get. Until you get that knowledge, what you will? Bahunam janmanam. You will take repeated birth and death. That is the impact. So getting into the knowledge, it may not happen for everyone at the same lifetime. It all depends on our condition, nature, how sincere we are, and our Sukriti, everything, everything matters. It all depends. I remember example of Amoglila Prabhu in one of his lectures. He was saying, before joining the Krishna conscious movement, he was strongly worshipping Lord Shiva. In his room, everywhere he used to keep all Lord Shiva, Parvati photos, everything. But if he is for he got contact with devotees. Finally, now we can see how sincere devotee is. So for some people, it may take minutes or fraction of seconds, he will change his perception. But for some people, it may not happen same way. Like, so example I could see, right? In my example also I could see, because I am basically from Sri Vaishnava family in South India. We follow in our house we follow Lakshmi Narayan, the daily, my father, everybody they worship of Lakshmi Narayan. When I came here first time, I met Ghanshyam Prabhu. That time Ghanshyam Prabhu he was not brahmachari, he was working in a company and he used to do preaching as well. So he told, because when he's speaking, he understood, he got to know that we are from South India. And so Prabhu, we told that, Prabhu, you do chanting. And then we said, Prabhu, we do daily Vishnu Sahasranama, we read. So we worship Vishnu. Then Prabhu told, Prabhu, Krishna, this is also more effective, you do Hare Krishna chanting. So then our understanding is generally in Sri Sampradaya, when Vishnu is the primary deity, and from Vishnu all the incarnations came. In one sense, technically, that is correct, because Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is the point of contact from where all the incarnations come into the material world. But beyond that, there is many more things are there, like Krishna to Balaram, and all other various incarnations. Finally, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, from there, all the incarnations come. So Ghanshyam Prabhu was saying, Prabhu, even before joining ISKCON, I was having the same impression. But now, I got to understand this Krishna is supreme, and from Krishna, Vishnu came. But there the discussion was stopped. Like later, I was having an inquisitive interest to learn Bhagavad Gita systematically. That is where I got under the support of Hemang Chaitanya Prabhu. Under him, we started learning Bhagavad Gita and all. Once I started regularly studying Bhagavad Gita, I was not having any confusion. So, different person will have a different chance, opportunity. With that, some people will take so many births to understand Krishna is the supreme, demigods Shiva and Brahma are independent. But for some people, it may take fraction of seconds. Like in case of Ajamila pastime, if you see, Ajamila, we all know the pastime of Ajamila. Ajamila was a Brahmana, but he did so many impious, bad activities. And at the time of death, when he is trying to leave his body, he chanted Narayan. And when he chanted Narayan, Yamadutas came to take him, but at the same time, Vishnudutas also came. And they stopped. Vishnudutas stopped Yamadutas. And we know our pastime. But after this thing happened, then Yamadutas went to Yamaraj. And Yamadutas having the same impression. Like, what is that? Okay, Yamadharmaraj is the supreme person. He is the authority who can decide who is a pious and who is impious person. Right? That was the Yamaduta's understanding. But then they told same thing to Yamadharmaraj. So, Yamaraj, we thought you are the only supreme person who can decide who is pious person, who is impious person. But today, your rule was overturned by other people. Who are they? Then Yamadharmaraj told that, I am not the supreme controller. He explains Krishna is the supreme controller. And later he continued, like we have to chant the holy name. The complete episode was there. But the important point there is, same, Yamadutas were having the same incorrect knowledge. But what they did, they inquired with Yamaraj, who is one of the 12 Majans. So they took the right approach, asking question rather than having the incorrect knowledge. They continued, they asked the information from Yamaraj, and Yamaraj clarified them. I am not the supreme controller, Krishna is the supreme controller. So, even though we have the incorrect knowledge, we need to get the right association. When we get the right association, we will have the opportunity to know the difference between the Krishna and all other demigods. Otherwise, same example we can see Hiranyakashipu. He asked, I want immortality, right? Then Brahma told, even myself I am not the immortal, how cannot give you? So, though even Hiranyakashipu is a great demon and he is a very powerful person, socially people will have good recognition, like he is a demon, big person, very powerful person, right? That kind of recognition. But still, he is not able to understand the exact difference between the Brahma and Shiva. So, these are all various things. By seeing the way he talks, how he behaves, that will not tell us that, okay, he is the right person to give the knowledge. He should be the bona fide person, he should be from the bona fide sampradayas, then only we can approach and we will get the right knowledge. And another example also we can take, it's not any general example. Suppose in a family, if from the childhood, if the person is worshipping Lord Shiva, so all the family members are worshipping Lord Shiva. And after some years, like when you go to the book distribution, Harinam, you started telling, no, you have to worship Supreme Lord Krishna, not Shiva. Can he take that instruction quickly? No, because from the childhood, he is with the same assumption that, okay, Lord Shiva, I have to worship Lord Shiva, I want to Lord Shiva. So, you cannot change that condition, the impression, whatever he is having, that straightforward. Example I can take, this white board is there, now the verse is written. Tomorrow, we have to write something different verse. We cannot, what you have to do? We have to erase this first and then write the new verse for tomorrow. Same thing. In the current condition nature, we have different things in our mind. So maybe you are inclined towards Kali, goddess of Kali, or you may be inclined towards Shiva or many other demigods. So what is required? We need to clear this current consciousness. How that consciousness can be purified? By doing the devotional service. So, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, right? So, when you do the constant devotional service, when you do continuous chanting, what will happen? The consciousness will be removed and then you can write the new one. So, writing on clean slate is easy, but when you have to erase something and write new one, it is always a difficult task. That how long that cleaning takes, it all depends on our condition. How long, what is our previous karma, our condition nature, how, what kind, all our devotional things come into the picture. Those things will decide how soon your slate can be erased, old things we can be erased, and how soon we can write new ones. So that is the thing. So in nutshell, we have to perform devotional service. That way, they may not know, but because those who are worshipping Shiva, when we say that, okay, you worship Krishna, they don't understand the exact meaning. So what will have to, you have to ask them to come to the temple, chant regularly. So down the line, when they start reading Bhagavad Gita, you will, like that was my example I was telling. When the Ghanshyam Prabhu told, the discussion there ended. He didn't force me to worship. That later, I started reading Bhagavad Gita, and then we got to know the more and more knowledge with the association of devotees. So that way, I was not having any confusion. Same, it takes time for each person. So we need to involve them in bhakti. Rest Krishna will take care. When and how, he will get the knowledge that Krishna decides. So now we are talking about knowledge, about understanding Krishna, the different demigods. We need to have the right knowledge. Then what is that knowledge actually? What it is? How people will understand this is the knowledge. If you go back to the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Jnana Yoga, so there are verses from 8 to 12. In the, it was mentioned, I think most of you know the verses, 8 to 12. There are 20 qualities we have mentioned. And that purport, the translation, at the end of the translation, Krishna was saying, this is knowledge, rest is not knowledge. So those points if you see, I'll read out. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement, there are 20 total, entanglement, children, wife, home and rest, even mindness, pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge. And besides this, whatever there may be, ignorance. So, this is what Krishna is saying. Now, basic understanding of the knowledge, what generally in our normal general perception, knowledge means information. We use that information, we develop skills with that information, right? So, for example, if you want to do cooking, learn cooking, you join somewhere, you learn how to do big cookings, different type of cookings. Then first you get the knowledge, with that knowledge you practice and you will become expert. That is the understanding of knowledge. But in this verse, we are not getting any information. These are all qualities we have to develop. This is called knowledge. We will understand why this Krishna is saying this is knowledge. So, here if we have to learn anything, we have to get the knowledge, new things, and knowledge, with the knowledge we practice, we develop the skills. Example, if you have a gun, you will take the gun, if you learn the skills, how to shoot, how to hit the target without missing, right? So, you will practice. After few days, after few months, it all depends on your skills, you will become expert. So, when you started using the gun and you started shooting without missing the target, so can we treat all the because of expert? At one sense, we think that, okay, he's expert, but he should have another quality. He should know when to use, when he should not use. Since you got the license, you are able to shoot everything on target. And can you go and hit everyone in the road? If you do, that is not. He should know when to use, when he should not use the gun. Right? So that is the understanding he has to develop, not only technical skills. So knowledge will be, we are seeing knowledge in two levels. One is acquiring the skills. Other one is knowing when to use, when not to use. That is one thing. Another example we can take. If a soldier is there, soldier, people will, okay, if you say soldier is very good soldier, because you can use any different kind of arms, all the different kind of weapons perfectly, and he can destroy the enemies immediately. Right? He has all the skills because he can use all the, you are saying that he is very expert based on the skills that he can kill anyone with any arm, without any weapon, he will hit the target perfectly. So when you say he is expert, is that enough?
Generally, what is required solely? These are skills required, but there is much more required to become an expert soldier. What is that other additional things required? Generally, soldiers will be entered into the dangerous situation. First of all, he should be courageous. He should be very daring person to go into the dangerous situation. Second thing, and he should be when you are in a dangerous situation, his mind should not be agitated. He should be calm and composed, right? When your mind is calm and composed, then you can use all your weapons, arms, everything properly, right? So not just acquiring the skill is not enough. You need to learn these skills, these qualities, right? You should have a daringness. You should be able to, you should not have any fear, first of all. You should have a very daring person, and then mind should be any difficult situation, any agitated situation, you should be handling the situation with a calm and composed nature. Then only you can use your skills acquired using the different weapons and different arms, right? So then you can save the people, right? So not just learning the skills is enough, the different techniques, different tools, but you should have the qualities. Now, with these two examples, we'll come back to the Arjuna. The context of this the 13th chapter 8, the qualities Krishna is mentioning, why it is considered as knowledge. Like this was nicely explained by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu in his Gita daily. So, he was saying, Arjuna also, what he did, Arjuna is the dearmost disciple of Dronacharya. And he pleased Lord Shiva and Indra. He got various weapons. But when they are in the duel, now finally they had to fight war to get their kingdom back from Duryodhan and Kauravas. But what he did, at the right time, he said, no, I am not going to fight. Right? So what happened? He got all the skills. It is a do or die situation for Pandavas. Right? They don't have to get the kingdom. Otherwise, they are Kshatriyas. They don't have any kingdom. But what happened? Arjuna suddenly started, no, I am not going to fight. Then Krishna is saying, you have to get this knowledge, these values, these characteristics, these 20 characters which mentioned. When you develop these qualities, these characteristics, you will be able to decide when to use all the skills. What is the time, each skill you need to, like example of soldier, he needs to be courageous, he needs to use, and in case of Arjuna, when the right time he raised his hand, no, I am not going to fight. Right? When you have this knowledge, when you develop this knowledge, what will happen? You will be able to use all your skills in the right time properly. Otherwise, with your incorrect knowledge, you will not be able to, you will misuse your skills. This is one of the important thing. If you don't have the right knowledge, we need to, what are the consequences? For that, we need to develop these skills. So, what it means, why developing these skills, qualities will help you to, and in the purport, Prabhupada was mentioning in the same thing. These are the 20 qualities which mentioned in this verse. The one of the important qualities, it was mentioned, devotional service to developing one of the quality it is mentioned. Devotional service, right? Developing the devotional practicing, approaching bona fide spiritual master and developing the devotional service to Supreme Lord. These are the qualities. So, developing the devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the ultimate end. Without developing that quality, if you develop all other qualities also, it's of no use. So, these are the qualities which 13th chapter it is mentioning. So, Srila Prabhupada also mentioning, right? So, when you develop these qualities, what will happen? Your devotional you will progress in devotion. First thing, one of the quality it is mentioned is approaching bona fide spiritual master. This is one of the qualities. You go to spiritual master and then you take his instructions. That time you will not have any knowledge, but only thing you rely that, okay, spiritual master is bona fide, whatever instruction he gives, I will follow. Then he tells that, okay, do this devotional service. When you start gradually devotional service, then these qualities, with the devotional service, all these qualities will be developed in you. Then you will be able to progress in your devotion. So, this is the how. So, we take the shelter of spiritual master and then you devotion service, all these qualities will be developing in you. Then you will be able to progress further in the devotion. So, this is what we have to understand. First thing is, we have to start devotion with some instruction, then only we develop this quality. When you are progressing in the devotion, you will develop all these 20 qualities, whatever it is. Now, what is the proof? It is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, In Chatusloki Bhagavad Gita 10.10, what is mentioned? Tesham evanu kampartam aham ajnana jamtama nashyami atma bhavastu jnana deepena bhasvata. Krishna is saying, to show, what is it? Those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to. What is that understanding? These are all things. Who is Krishna? Who is all the different demigods, right? That kind of understanding he will give. Not only that, in subsequent verse he also, Krishna tells, Tesham evanu kampartam aham ajnana jamtama nashyami atma bhavastu jnana deepena bhasvata. Krishna is saying, like, I will destroy the darkness and give the knowledge, right? The knowledge Krishna is giving, that will be the perfect knowledge. So for that, Krishna directly will not give you the knowledge. For that, what is required? You have to approach the spiritual master, take his shelter, do devotional service, then you will be getting the right knowledge. Then when you have the right knowledge, you will not be able to commit any offenses. And so you will be, that way you will gradually progress in your bhakti. So I will conclude here. Any comments? Any? Yes, Mataji. So Shiva Tattva, see, Shiva is not a Jiva Tattva and he is not a Vishnu Tattva. Shiva is a separate category himself. That's what we, in the previously, all the verses we discussed. He's separate. He's a marginal edge, is like a Jiva, right? Tatastha Shakti is Jiva, but he is not a Jiva. So that way he is a separate category, we can say. It's a Shiva Tattva is separate, that's what we hear. Which one he is falling to? See, that's what my knowledge still is, it's a separate category. That's what Shiva is separate. But he is but in that way, say he's an incarnation of Krishna as well, right? So that way, it's you can say he's the expansion of Krishna, the incarnation of Krishna. Yeah, we can. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
To develop a skill, you need knowledge. To develop a quality, you need knowledge.
Yes.
So what is the difference between the knowledge required to develop a skill and knowledge?
See, the same we can take the example of Arjuna. First thing, knowledge developed the skill. He approached Dronacharya and Dronacharya so understood that he is having the potential. Then he transferred the skill. He gave the knowledge to develop the skills in the archery, whatever he was learning. That is one thing. But with that skill, was he able to handle the thing, everything? No. So both things required guru. Like whether you need in the skills or whether you need qualities, you need to go to take the shelter of guru. That is common. But what I see, like when you get the skills, it's not that you will become perfect. You need to know when to use the skills. To develop that when to use those skills, again you need a guru who can give the knowledge. With that knowledge, you will develop these qualities. Then you will be able to decide. So the difference is like for both of them required guru. But what I see, skills is one level. On top of the skill, we can say qualities. So when you have the qualities, then you will apply skills more easily. So that I see that way. Yeah. Okay. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrunda ki jai.